It's not gonna be.
Okay, Andy Durbin.
Andy Durbin tonight with a pledge, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Good evening. Thank you all for attending this regularly scheduled meeting of the Grosse Pointe Farm City Council. I'd ask everyone to please rise, and Mr. Durbin, if you'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, sir. Mr. Durbin, will you lead us in the pledge?
Sorry.
Thank you.
It's to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Andy. Assistant City Manager Clerk, Mr. Kozicki, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wood. Councilmember Conrad Wilberding.
Yes.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Yes.
Mayor Lou.
Yes.
Councilmember.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soroka.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
I'd entertain a motion to excuse Councilmember Wood, please.
So moved.
Motion by Conrad Wilberding, support by Mayor Pro Tem Soroka. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Next, has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting on March 9, please? If so, is there a motion to approve and receive those minutes?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Ritchie, support by Councilmember Donovan. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda, item number 4, please. A consideration of a preliminary site plan review for Village Market located at 18330 Mack Avenue. Mr. Garmo, are you here, sir, and your representative, please? Mr. Shervish? Mr. Garmo, good evening and welcome back, sir.
Thank you for having us. Before we start, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the changes that we've had to review. We've received the McKenna report that I'm sure you've all had a copy of. And we also had a traffic study done by Fishback engineers out of Farmington Hills. Tom Robertson and Dave Shervis have been on this plan to help get all of the alignment for what the city, the residents, neighboring businesses, everyone's needs and wants to kind of get into this plan here. We feel like this is a very, we made some significant progress with everything, and Dave will kind of take lead on presentation of what we've done in the last few months.
Thank you.
Well,
And while we give the floor to Mr. Servish, and I'll pass it off to City Manager Reside so that the members of the public know, this is a preliminary site plan approval, meaning that they will have to come back on one or more occasions to satisfy additional criteria such as final site plan, memorandum of understanding, things of that nature. City Manager Reside, could you please enlarge that a little bit if you would?
I think you hit it nail on the head there. It's basically assuming council is in favor of moving forward with the site plan. They would come back. We thought it was wise, really, taking one step at a time, because really this is the first essential part that would have to be approved before we move forward. City council moves forward and the city moves forward. And it will involve several items that have been discussed as a part of a MOU with Village Market, a memorandum of understanding that addresses things as costs, who pays those costs, with the intent it would be those costs would be borne by Village Market, how the construction would be, who would oversee construction, how that would be paid to the city, those costs. So a lot of the details, including a land swap, because what's being proposed is vacating the existing roadway on McKinley and shifting that roadway onto property which is currently owned by Village Market. So there would be a land swap where that property would become part of the city's, that would be part of our infrastructure, and the vacated street would become a parking lot, essentially, with various easement agreements for utility easements and so forth that would give the city the ability to serve our infrastructure within that property. So that's kind of it, that in a nutshell.
So thank you. So as we've said before, this is one step of the process that we want to be full, fair, and open to everyone. We look forward to receiving input from the residents after this presentation as well, and we will continue to do so until the project is ultimately voted yay or nay. Mr. Service, the floor is yours, please, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to say it's a real pleasure for me to come and present before you. This also former Grosse Pointe farm resident. I grew up in Grosse Pointe, went to St. Paul High School, grade school. In fact, of course, I do your husband. He's kind of Frank played Little League baseball together. But today, it's like I said, it's a look on these and have the opportunity, James, to work with you on this project. I'd like to start really by introducing, and go back to slide, introducing the project team that's been assembled primarily by Jacob and the Government Management Group as the owners. We will be pretty much leading the design effort as landscape architects and planners, and with my partner Tom Roberts, who is behind me, as also the architectural and technical consultant, and he'll be at the group has been on this project for some time, and we certainly look forward to working with them as the civil engineers project. We've had, especially Tom's had good experience working with the BPA. We have another project coming. Well, Fish Deck provided a nice traffic consulting report. We've all been waiting for, and I thought that the results of the report speak highly about getting us, I think, to the next step in the concept. So with that, we go to the first slide. I want to, those of you who really don't know of us, I just want to share with you a few projects that we have been working on. These are Grosse Pointe projects to begin with. We were the original architects when the Punch and Judy Theater got converted to an office building. When Butch Edgar owned it, and we continue to work with Ed Russell, who now owns Punch and Judy. We also worked on the Kirby Place office building with Jim Mass, so there's a reset. And very proud of the fact that we had the opportunity to design the boulevard coming into Grosse Pointe Park, Jefferson Avenue, which I feel has done a good job of improving the image of coming into each side. Well, we had a terrific opportunity many years ago to get engaged with the city's development. We were able to do the first master plan in the riverfront that hadn't been done in many years before that. And as a result, 3 parks came out of that, most notably Shane Park. And it's now the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater. And as you can see in the plan down below, it really, the beginnings of the Riverwalk, which is now nationally recognized. Next slide. And then I'll conclude some of our we also established the major loft apartment complex on Jefferson, you call it. They converted the Stearns building into 175 lofts. And that gives you an idea of what it looks like. So thank you for going through that. And some of our projects, I think, have we're doing something. Starting out with this slide, this is, and things start to get into this, the existing conditions. I think we all are aware of, how McKinley, comes to meet Mac right next to the village market, causing the issue of, crossing over McKinley, safety factors involved. The acute turn onto McKinley from Mac is an issue. And then the parking lot being detached from the market, certainly causes, a lot of issues in terms of pedestrian circulation, auto circulation, conflict, safety. And then the parking lot itself needs to be, reorganized, redone, and, instead of having such a random parking situation. I don't have to continue to go on this slide. I think you're all aware of the condition. This became our preliminary site plan after looking at a few of the alternatives and looking at what was planned in the past. And as you can see, we actually made the land swap in terms of moving the parking lot over McKinley, adjacent to the market, and bringing McKinley through on the south side of the parking lot, and squaring out McKinley to Mac for a 90-degree angle. Makes the turning a lot easier, obviously. You're not looking around a corner that's at an acute angle to you. And it also certainly works with the intersection at the alley. When Fishback gave us their first remarks on the report, they suggested a four-way stop there, which I think works very well. And the idea again is to try to eliminate this kind of a raceway effect or pass-through effect into the neighborhood. So by having the bend and four-way stop, then we start to begin to address that issue. Other features of the plan, of course, is the organization of the parking lot. All the spaces are code compliant. They're 9 by 18. And they're full 90-degree spaces. We have islands that we're instituting going to plant with some ornamental trees. And we also have some screening areas both in the rear facing the neighborhood with 6-foot arborvitae hedge. And then in the front with a wrought iron and brick pillar combination screen with evergreen hedge in front of it. Provides a nice green belt instead of having parking stretch all the way across that whole area where you would have asphalt against concrete against asphalt. It starts to break up the feel of, starts to break up. So so the major feature again of this site plan is the swap of McKinley with
And will you tell us and our residents, please, while you're going through this, how many interior, so to speak, parking spots have been created by this revised drawing? And how many parking spots around Mack Avenue for the benefit of other businesses on the east side of the drawing, please?
And this slide will definitely speak.
Thank you, sir.
So this is what we call the vehicular circulation and parking slide. And starting out with more specifically on vehicle circulation, again, I'll repeat myself. We've instituted 90-degree intersections at both McKinley and in the valley with the extension of McKinley, and 90-degree intersection at Mac. And we've instituted a four-way stop on McKinley at the alley. The width of McKinley coming in is 24 feet, roughly 6 inches, 4.06. The width of McKinley on the old McKinley coming in back is roughly 30 feet. So we've cut the size down, which also is good for traffic volume, so the traffic down. The parking lot layout, we really work the geometry where you're not pulling into spaces that are kind of an angle and it's hard to back into them and so forth. So all the spaces are at a 90-degree space and the maneuvering with the maneuvering lane is almost 27 feet, which is a couple feet larger than the prior moving lanes. The code calls for basically 28 feet. But since we're also going to make this a one-way, the traffic engineers felt this would be quite adequate in terms of the maneuvering lanes. To speak directly to your question, Mr. Mayor, the parking lot will now accommodate 29 cars. As opposed to the old lot, the existing lot right now, accommodates roughly 21 cars, and some of them are in a random type situation. These are all dedicated spaces. And in terms of the angle parking, in front of the market, we're stretching that all the way over to where McKinley is going to, where McKinley ends, the old curve line. And that had, there's a little chart right up in the corner that gives us the numbers.
There's 9 additional spots there.
Yes, it's 9 additional spots, right? And 9 additional spots, 29 on the parking lot. And then we have 4 additional spots on the south side of McKinley Extension, which will accommodate the commercial patrons and residents without going into the parking lot. And then we have an additional 7 spots or 4 spots on Mac Avenue itself. So you can see where the extension of the angle parking is, picks up a couple, and then a couple are picked up on the new on either side of the new entry on to McKinley. So for a total of 50 spots, you have them all together. Now we go to the next slide. The next issue we started to confront was the semi-truck trailer pay. As we seem to address the issues on the auto and the vehicular circulation, it turns us to now resolve the semi-truck issue. Right now, semis come in off of Moran, make a right turn down the alley, and they can unload, but then getting out is problematic. Because you can't make that acute turn on the existing McKinley to get the Mac. And so semis are generally forced to back out or make a left turn into the neighborhood. And so we really wanted to confront that issue. We know it's a pressing issue with everyone, the neighbors and everyone. So
and as you can see at the top left, you did add a no left turn sign that Fishbeck was aware of as well for the residents. with the proper angle for the trucks to come out onto Mac, to make a right onto Mac Avenue from McKinley.
And you can see the pathway in red, so that works for both, the trucks coming in from the, north. And exiting and making the right turn at where the new extension of McKinley meets the alley. And then when you get to Mac, it can make a right turn. And it also works for trucks coming from Mac onto, McKinley, making a right turn. And then making its turn left to go through the alley, for their unloading, and then they can leave directly, well, straight out to Moran and, make an easy turn onto Moran and, get up to Mac. Um, yeah, that's the next slide. So. Yeah, this is good.
So this was a recommendation from Fishbeck, basically on the four-way stop, where we initially had the crosswalk. The actual visibility for the crosswalk was a little bit too far, so we put this in the site plan in this proposal so that we can make the change right away, so that you guys can see that. Not right now, but we will have it in the next site plan, that the crosswalk will be a little bit closer to the McKinley Avenue, so the site for cars and pedestrians can be a little bit better.
Yeah, right now, you can see where the crossbar is for the existing, for the stop right there, and that's 80 feet from the intersection. And because we have a nice arborvitae screen hedge, it cuts your line of sight off on the intersection. And so moving it more than halfway toward the intersection really helps mitigate the line of sight and safety issue, and we wholeheartedly support it. So, and not only that, the geometric configuration of taking the crosswalk and turning it at 90-degree is then consistent with all the other crossings across the alley and across McKinley. So everything's squared up 90 degrees. Yeah. This speaks now to the pedestrian circulation. Looking at taking this in progression, first of, vehicles, semi trucks, so forth. Now we wanted to put our attention to the pedestrian circulation, and one of the ways we did that was to create a sidewalk system that encircles the parking lot, as opposed to coming through the parking lot or on the islands on the edge of the McKinley extension. Pedestrians have no reason to be engaged and create more of a conflict of cars going in and out of the parking lot. So we created this system that solves more than one problem too. So you can see the sidewalk next to the storage building is an extension of the neighborhood sidewalk. And that's bending just as McKinley is bending toward Mac. And then it gives us an opportunity to also add maybe another 3-foot of space. Yes. Another 3-foot of space for, say, some landscape treatment. And then there's a parking lane next to the sidewalk. And so when you add all that space up, it's 17 feet to the travel lane and the building, as opposed to being right up next to the building, like other iterations were. And also we're going to take advantage of maybe some facade treatment on the storage building, and you'll see that in later drawing. Which will help again beautify the area and pull the whole area together. And so I think we mitigated potential safety issue, pedestrian outlet, with that. And of course, we have the added feature of having, these parallel parking spaces outside of the parking lot and towards the businesses by, the businesses on the, south side of McKinley.
We also got to keep the 3 spots that were in front of the businesses in front of Mac Avenue.
On Mac Avenue, and we've added another spot, just to the south of the entry, because we're closing up the driveway. You had to squeeze through that driveway to get into the parking
Yeah,
lot.
correct, so we actually added a spot there too, so
Yeah.
there's 3 now, there'll be 4.
And actually, with the old scheme, next to the entry into, the McKinley, there was gonna be another entry into, we extended the angle parking. We had two spots. Okay.
This is kind of just a close-up view of that.
Yeah, so this gives you a close-up view now of the entrance onto McKinley from Mac. And instead of looking at it as an obstacle or an issue, we looked at it as an opportunity to create a nice entry image for McKinley and for McKinley residents, or like entering into the south. We've taken our 3 fencing columns and bent them, and turned it to a 90-degree angle in the island there. We matched it on the other side of the McKinley entrance. We have a low U hedge, circling around with some nice bright flowers, like maybe red begonias or something, to really give a very nice aesthetic landscape entrance approach to McKinley, instead of making it look like we're dealing with a conflict all the time. We want to solve the problem. We want the neighbors to be in partnership with the city and in partnership with the village market. And we've also added a flagpole. You'll see that in our rendering. And a monument to the village assembly announcing village market. Next slide. So this gives us a view of the whole layout from up above, called a bird's eye view, looking east, northeast. And it shows how McKinley joins Mac, travels through, stops at the alley, makes its turn down through the neighborhood. You also can make a nice left turn to go into the alley, especially for the trucks. And I think you'll see that the parking lot has now been defined very well. It's very organized. And then we have the added feature of an open space area in front of the market, which enhances the entrance into the market. We'll talk about that in a minute. Next slide. This is another view of the parking lot. So if you're on the roof of the storage building looking toward the market, I think this really captures the connection of the parking lot to the entrance of the village market with that open space area. There's an area for cart parking. There's a nice full slope ramp where the cars can go down the ramp into the parking lot, as opposed to trying to push a cart across the street like they do now, and across the various curbs and everything. So I think it ends up becoming a very organized and inviting entry into a parking lot that's adjacent and connected. You'll also see, we took a shot at showing you the, as Jacob talked about earlier, the crosswalk over the alley, how we bent a crosswalk over the alley and see how that works. So that crosswalk will now be closer to the intersection, and it'll tie right into a walk that we have already planned that's behind the evergreen hedge. And then you can either go right toward the market, or you can go left across the street and go down the sidewalk, toward Mac Avenue. That is part of the whole circular sidewalk system that surrounds the parking place. Next slide. This gives you a ground level view of that entry. And you can see the walk coming right at you, the walk that was controversial in terms of being in conflict with auto traffic and the door. And it also gives you a ground level view of the image that we're trying to show on the, coming into the thing. Oh, man. And this steps away a little bit and shows you the ground level view and of the screening that were taking place in the parking lot. So forth, if you can, zoom in a little bit, gives you a good feel as to how the parking now doesn't travel, right? The walk doesn't go through the parking lot, and you have a nice landscape screen, kind of a buffering screen, and enhances the green belt in front of the. Next slide. I have some precedent images of projects that have a similar. On the left is the parking lot. We did for Aquatic Tile over in Jefferson. We did the design of their courtyard and then their front screening with view hedge in the front, some perennials. It does a very nice job. You see the columns that are done. You can even see a little Aquatic Tile influence in there. And then on the right, if you, I'm sure many of you visited the DAC. This is the parking lot across from the DAC. The old Madison Lennox used to be. When the Elgies purchased this lot, they needed the parking because that was in the time Tiger Stadium. And we worked with the Elgies on making the parking lot having a nice screen in front. Also, the dimensioning of the parking lot. In this case, we actually extended the parking lot out into the sidewalk a little bit. Similar to what we're doing with extending it out and then giving us the room to put the stadium and so that gives you an idea. That's an images. Work tone. After we worked through the design phase, we started the technical phase, site plan approval, and we've got everything laid out, the right curve radiuses, right parking dimensions, parking space dimensions, lane dimensions, road dimensions, and engineers have looked at this as well, and we're getting ready for the time we'll be able to start to submit for site plan approval. With this, and of course, we will incorporate any further comments that are going to be coming forward as the next indicator. And then the next slide is really our landscape plan. Again, we've got technical aspects of the landscape plan, and in the upper left-hand corner is a planning schedule that's designated genus and species of plants, trees that we're planning on, spacing, size, quantity, and notes. But primarily, we're looking at evergreens on the perimeter, the arborvitae in the back, yew hedges in front and on the side along the stores building, and then ornamental trees in the parking lot islands. Right now, we've looked at the list that the city suggests, but we're also looking at possibly, we're looking at maybe a service berry, which is an annuliker, and, has a nice flowering characteristic, very hardy to city conditions. Quite a bit of greenery. And then there's a nice, tree planting detail, very particular about how the hole is prepared, soil is prepared, so that we don't get a drying situation or a drowning situation at all. And then, of course, when we go to, even the extended landscape plan, we will have more further landscape notes and details. So, pretty much concludes our presentation. Want to say that, I think we've had a good working relationship with the city, the consultants and McKenna. And very good people. And we're working very diligently to follow that input so we can certainly meet city code. Fishbacks input was excellent. And they had the opportunity to take our latest site plan to that latest site plan and be starting to incorporate some of their suggestions. And I think Jacob wants to say.
No, I think we should, again, as you see, Dave did a great presentation, put a lot of, heads together with this, so we hope that city council, likes what we put together. Looking forward to your comments and questions.
Thank you. First, I'm going to go to the public so we can feed off their questions and comments up here, if I might. Gentlemen, stand by. But we'll formally call for public comment at this time. If you're interested in speaking on this matter, please step up to the podium. We don't have a time limit, but keep your comments relatively brief to 2 or 3 minutes, please. I will indicate for the record that I did receive written comment from Maureen Finnegan, who I don't think is here tonight. She didn't think she'd be able to attend, expressing some desire to close the street at the alleyway and had some concern with regard to parking. But if anyone's interested, now's the time for public comment. We'll ask the gentleman to step aside and please state, as required by the Open Meetings Act, your name and address, please. Mr. O'Neill.
My name's Tim O'Neill, I live at 405 McKinley. Houses off the shelf. I've got a number of questions you don't have to answer, but there's just something I would like to get answers to down the road, if you can't provide it now. Are there city ordinances that govern the amount of parking that must be provided?
Go ahead, we'll take them. Typically, we don't answer questions from the public during this segment, but we'll do our best to incorporate all your answers, to answer all your questions, so to speak.
Understanding that is that there is,
Yes,
and the requirements are based upon the use to which the building is put. Some have a higher parking requirement, some don't. If there are parking requirements that apply, in this case, can they wait? Next question is, does Grosse Point Farms have a master plan, and does this comply with it? Next, observation. I think the village market underwent a significant renovation about 10 years ago. At that time, part of it was taking the preferred cleaners, which I think, according to the newspaper articles, was about 5,000 square feet. Rather than using that for the parking, they decided to expand the retail footprint. They're not making this proposal. Is this going to set a precedent for other businesses? With regard to the intersection of McKinley and Mack, and people stopping at the stop sign right at Mack and looking left, is that intersection governed by Wayne County? And if so, are there certain site plan requirements, maybe in excess of 300 feet for public stop at that intersection? And does this provide for that? Have we gotten a report from a traffic engineer? I have not seen it. Has there been a plan from a traffic engineer? I have not seen one. My understanding is, and we can be corrected, if this has got a traffic engineer speak. See, as far as the alley, if you look at the plan that was presented for a truck, on their plan, they use a medium-sized truck, making the right turn to go out of the alley. It encroaches on the incoming lane of traffic for cars turning from back onto McKinley. And it encroaches for a pretty significant period of time. Do you have any idea as to when the incoming lane would be cleared by a right turning medium-sized truck? And do we have the same information for a right turning semi-truck? And then what is the situation if there are one or two cars stopped at the stop sign at McKinley? How long is the truck potentially going to be sitting there blocking both lanes before the one or two cars in front of it makes a turn? Is this something that maybe a traffic engineer could address? Other observations. I mean, I think one of the gentlemen on the council commented at one of the hearings, and I'll paraphrase it, that this is sort of like pouring a gallon of milk into a 1-quart bottle. I've gone up and down that. Look, I see no 2-story retail establishments in that. There are 2-story office buildings. I don't see any 2-story restaurants, bars, markets. I don't think they have them in Grosse Pointe City. I don't know if they have. I think the primary concern should be the safety of the pedestrians, drivers. There are areas of conflict that exist now. There are areas of conflict that are going to exist with the new plan. The question is, what's the best way to deal with it? I still don't think we have the answer. Thank you.
Mr. O'Neill, thank you very much. We'll have answers to a lot of your questions in a couple minutes. Who else would like to speak? Anyone else, please? Mr. Durbin, please.
Either Field 6 Fisher. Two things that are concerning me. Again, is the number of parking spots. He says 50. How many were there how many actually added by this new plan? It's not very clear. And secondly, they're talking about now where trucks can go in and out of the alleyway. It's two-way traffic into the alleyway. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Very dangerous. Especially these large delivery trucks, would it be safer to have the alleyway one way, keeping on, been off and laying out from McKinley? Just real concerned about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Durbin. Anyone else wish to comment publicly? We'll call on members of City Council. Councilmember Conrad Wilberding, any questions or comments, please?
We've had different editions of this problem and different renderings and proposed solutions. I can tell you, so thus far, initially I was in favor of some type of a cul-de-sac, but I like this plan better. But I have to tell you, no matter what happens, not everyone's gonna be pleased. You just have to allow some room to compromise with this, because I think that the store has an added value to Grosse Pointe Farms. For many of the patrons that visited, I think they would probably agree with me. I think as far as a master plan concept, we want more retail in Grosse Pointe Farms. There's no question about that. That's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ritchie.
I have to agree with Councilwoman Conrad Wilberding. This is by far this could almost be a full-blown approval of what they've done. It's much better than it was before, and I like it. I still have a real problem with Andy Dermott's comment about the trucks in the alleyway. My original thought was that trucks would only come in one way and go out one way and not come back this way. I don't know how that all sits with everybody, but that would be my only thought. Pull in, go left and go out Moran and nobody comes back into this driving area, parking area. That's the only comment I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Donovan.
Mr. Mayor, I was able to check off some things and I have a few questions here. One has to do with the parking dimensions, the parking space dimensions. Do we have all of those now? Why are some parking dimensions not shown? And can we confirm compliance?
All the parking, are you talking about parking spots?
Yes,
All the parking spots are to code for the city of Grosse Pointe forms. You see that there are some of the dimensions that are on the drawings, especially from the drawings that, or the plan that McKenna had brought back
yes.
for us. But they list for, let's say the southeast, the 10 spots. They list one of them, which is, I believe it's 18 feet, which is code. And they do, we kept that same dimension for all of the spots, to be all unison with this code. Are you asking about size or are you asking?
Now I want to make sure that the parallel spaces, all of them are dimensioned.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
oh yeah, even the ones, like Dave mentioned, off of McKinley on the south side, off of the storage building, are not on this sheet, but one of the other sheets, they are dimensioned for full size 18 by.
23 by. The on-street.
Yeah,
Yeah, 23 long,
but,
9 feet wide.
yeah,
So
so,
we had an extra 8 with 8.5 feet long.
right, so we went a little bit extra just,
And that's the same as on Mac Avenue too.
Okay.
The
Thank you.
dimension on Mac, well, it's the dimension on McKean.
Yes, please.
to mention, just based off one of the residents' comments, we did get a traffic study done by Fishbeck Engineers out of Farmington Hills, like I mentioned earlier, that any of their comments or concerns, the crash analysis, the site traffic characteristics, everything that they laid out, that we gave them to look at, whether it was the traffic through the alley or through McKinley or through the parking lot, they did look at everything. So, which has been done.
That's correct. And anyone who would like, and Mr. O'Neill, we will certainly get a copy of that analysis to you. That was a required condition at our last meeting. It was satisfied. And without stating the exact findings of the traffic study, there was nothing in the traffic study with regard to a serious concern of these proposed plans. Anything else, Council?
So it would be in this plan too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
but
yes.
not the previous plan.
Councilmember Donovan, anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Soroka.
At first blush, I often think about this as the most studied parking lot that I recall being in the farms. But the truth is, it's a lot more than a parking lot, right? It's also about the configuration of the streets in McKinley and how that impacts the neighbors. And so for me, the questions have been, is it better than the current situation? And I think I agree with my fellow council members, it is undeniably better than the current situation. And does it address many of the problems that have been identified as we have talked through this plan? And I think it does. Very much appreciated the traffic study. I thought that was helpful. At the same time, Mr. O'Neill asked a number of really good questions, right? I think had I, been on the council way back when this was approved, I'm not sure I necessarily would have approved the expansion of the market, given the parking situation that has existed for years now. But we are where we are, and we're trying to figure out how do we improve the current situation. And I do think that there is a question. I kind of agree with the concerns about the alleyway traffic. Although as someone who lives on and frequents Moran Road, I'm concerned about the truck traffic that will just only increase on Moran if we have everything coming in from Moran through McKinley. But I think, again, we cannot let perfect be the enemy of the good. And there's a lot of good in this proposal. So I'm interested in seeing the answers to some of Mr. O'Neill's additional questions, and also supportive of the idea of moving forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Jensen, please.
Thank you. Anytime you have a commercial district this close to residential area, it's gonna be, like Councilman Wilberding said, you're not gonna be able to please everybody all the time. I spent an hour and a half, close to 2 hours with Mr. Sherge in his office about 10 days ago. So I was lucky to get a lot of my questions already answered. I too questioned a two-way alley traffic, but he explained it to me. If you try to make it one-way coming off Moran to McKinley, a truck, especially a large truck, an 18-wheeler, whatever, turning right off of Mack Avenue, off of the eastbound Mack onto southbound Moran, the road's angled, and I don't think you can do that without clipping a curb, or if there's a car parked there alongside the used to be Dr. Ken Stewart's office, but you can't get in that way.
Yeah.
So the other, you just can't do it. So the other alternative would make it one way going from McKinley to Moran. Mr. Scherz said there's plenty, the studies, the traffic study, the traffic counts, the configuration of the road will handle the two-way traffic. If it doesn't, or it becomes a problem, then we look to our public safety department. That would be easy to do to make it a one-way from McKinley to Moran. Very simple to do. You don't want to do it the other way. You have cars all over everybody's lawns. And I'm glad Beth has changed her view on the cul-de-sac or a barrier there. Like I said before, anytime you put a barricade onto a street, you obstruct the people that live on that street more than anybody else because they're 24/7. What happens is cars will either go down, the traffic won't go away. It's just going to go to different streets. It'll either take over Moran, possibly McMillan, and possibly even Lincoln to get to Shelheim if you put a thing up there. What happens is people come down McKinley, for the people who live on McKinley, it's always been a concern of mine. When they come down McKinley and they realize, oh no, there's a barricade here. Now they're turning around in your driveway, so the kids are playing on the front lawn. So closing a street, rarely am I for it. I'm definitely not for it in this case. I do think this has been a very well constructed plan. I think many of the details address those concerns. I'm all for moving forward, and I think it's a great plan. It's been a lot of details done to it.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman. I also have to, add to that, as far as, we did look at closing it, and obviously it would give us more spaces, but, me and Tom and Dave, this one just worked because it doesn't create any, like you said, there's no combustion at the alleyway. It's not gonna create any sort of turnarounds that people have to go through that, and we just feel like this really works. It keeps McKinley straight 90-degree angle at that point to come off the Mac. It's still there, so people can still access it. And yeah, all praise those two guys behind me, but yeah, we think this is one of the best ones to go.
I have a couple questions, a couple comments. I too agree that this is a much improved plan. I appreciate you getting a traffic study. I appreciate you retaining somewhat of a new team to take a second look at that. I think this is going to help the residents a great deal in terms of thinking, as we said, this is step one. Mr. O'Neill, our master plan, the city does have a master plan. Our city engineer did review this proposed plan in conjunction with our master plan and did not find any deficiencies or stressors, so to speak, with regard to our master plan. Traffic study was done. It is online, I am told, by the city manager in the agenda in the packet today. So please, everyone, take a look at it. If you have any questions or comments, there are an additional 7 spots, Mr. Durbin, with regard to this plan, from 43 to 50, I believe, additional spots. there is some question still about, has been indicated about the radius of turns for semi trucks and the like, but we're confident in that. You had indicated, Mr. Garmo, a desire a few months ago to do some outdoor sales in front of the main store entrance. And now with regard to the parking coming very close to the front store entrance, are you abandoning that plan? Or are you going to do cooking and the like right in front of cars parked in front of the store? I'm a little concerned about that.
Well, I think, and Dave mentioned the actual front where, there. That open display space is just as big, if not bigger than
Okay.
what we currently have right now. So we could still be under the awning or near that and not have any issues by being too close to cars, I believe. So
Fair
as
enough.
you can see, the dotted line is the current McKinley runway, so you know, it definitely has a nice open space for pedestrians that are coming off the new lot onto the display space into the public entrance, so.
That makes it more
In fact,
appealing.
Yeah.
2/3 of the way of the building
Mhm.
from Mac, we're actually pulling
Perfect.
parking away. Because right now, you're parallel parking on McKinley, right next to the site.
Yeah.
So the cars aren't any closer than where they are now. And in fact, 2/3 of it, the cars are pulled away quite a bit. And that was the effort of squaring up and creating that open space. Right now, that open space is picked up in the other schemes, in dead space within itself. Because everybody was just trying to push cars to the perimeter, which left a lot of space in the middle. So we've captured that space and put it toward the entrance, which will now become functional and separate the cars from pedestrians.
Thank you. City Manager Reside, do you have anything to add, please, sir?
I don't. No, I think we've reviewed it. I think there was again, Mr. O'Neill mentioned, county, their involvement. These plans are reviewed by Wayne County. The prior plan has been reviewed. And so, this will also need county approval. We don't anticipate, just from our prior conversation, that there'll be an issue with that. I think the idea of having a fenced parking lot adjacent to the sidewalk area in the street is allowed. You'll see that if you're at Kirby Road with the Bell Tire, there's, currently fencing around that parking lot. So in a similar manner. But all in all, I mean, administratively, a lot of concerns that I know Mr. Baca had in public service with particularly pedestrian walkways and not adequate walkways and setbacks have been addressed. And we think, again, it's a much improved plan. The addition of some landscaping within the parking lot, I think, will be something to soften up that area that we currently don't have now. And aesthetically, it's just, and functionally, it's just an improvement.
Mr. Bach, as our Director of Public Service, do you have any comment or questions, sir?
I think I would echo what the comment is saying. I think that's
Thank you. All right, at this point, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, our residents, thank you. As I said, we only had one written comment from Ms. Finnegan. With that, it's time to call the question. Is there someone willing to make a motion to approve the preliminary site plan with regard to 18330 Mack Avenue, please? Is there one? Ms. Donovan?
Yes, sir.
Please do.
And I too am very supportive of this conceptual plan. And thank you for all the work. Also to all the residents and business owners who gave input. Wonderful community engagement. So thank you. I move to approve the preliminary site plan for Village Market in the B1 local business district based upon the review of the following materials. In making this decision, the board of Zoning Appeals has reviewed the following. Memorandum from Matt Baca dated April 13th, 2026. Planning Review Memorandum from McKenna dated April 2nd, 2026. Site Plan Review Application bearing the name and signature of Jacob Gurmo dated March 21st, 2026, and David Shervish dated March 23rd, 2026. An engineering report from Fishback dated March 11th, 2026. This is subject to the following condition, again with final site plan approval to return to council. Conditions of approval. Right-of-way ownership determination. Prior to final approval, the applicant and city shall clearly establish and document whether the proposed realignment of McKinley Road involves vacation and conversion to private property or retention and relocation of public right-of-way, including all necessary legal descriptions, easements, and approvals. Sightlines and traffic study validation. The site plan shall be revised if necessary to address all sightline concerns identified in the planning and engineering reviews, including alley intersection visibility, landscaping impacts on visibility, stop control configuration and placement, parking layout and dimensional compliance. A fully dimensional parking plan shall be provided demonstrating compliance with all applicable ordinance requirements, including stall width, depth, and aisle dimension, maneuverability and circulation, and accessible parking compliance. Parking count reconciliation. The applicant shall reconcile and confirm the total number of proposed parking spaces, resolve discrepancies between submitted materials with the final count clearly identified on the plan and accepted on the record. Signage plan clarification. A complete signage plan shall be submitted, including the purpose, placement, and regulatory basis for all proposed signage, including any no left turn restriction. Landscaping and screening details. Final landscaping plan shall include plant species, size, and installation and spacing, screening elements, including fencing details if applicable, long-term maintenance consideration. And last, final engineering and operational review. The plan shall be subject to review and approval by the city's engineering, public service, and public safety departments to confirm that traffic circulations functions as intended, pedestrian improvements are adequate and safe, and no adverse operational impacts are created.
City Attorney Burgess, do we have a valid motion, sir?
Almost. There's one correction that is, at the outset of the motion, you referenced the Board of Zoning Appeals, but this is the City Council decision.
So you accept a friendly amendment to your motion?
Yes, thank you for the
Thank you. Is there support of Councilmember Donovan's motion, please?
support.
Support by Member Conrad Wilberding. Call the roll, please, Mr. Kozicki.
Councilmember Woods, Councilmember Conrad Wilberding,
Yes.
Councilmember Ritchie,
Yes.
Mayor Dooley,
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Stroller,
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes, gentlemen. Thank you. We will see you soon with regard to a proposed site plan and further dialogue. Let's stay in touch, please. Thank you very much. Good evening. Next, please, on our agenda as City Council, consideration of another preliminary site plan for 18850 Mack Avenue, also known as the proposed N Family School. Good evening. Please introduce yourself and the members of your team and the representative of N Family School. If she could please come forward. Please come forward. You are the most important person here tonight on behalf of this item, and we're glad you're here. No. We tell it like it is. We're glad to have it.
Brandon Beacon of 814 Development, 1695 12 Mile Road in Berkeley, Michigan. This is Trudy Anderson. She's the executive director for End Families in the United States. She is handling and overseeing the expansion of End Family from Great Britain into the US. We've got a short slide show for you. It includes a video of one of their locations in London. But what we're talking about today is 18850 Mack Avenue, formerly known as the Joanne Fabrics building on Mack Avenue, just south of Morass. Just a little sidebar, my mother used to sell suits at Hughes and Antrim before it was Joanne Fabrics. I mean, it's a vicious circle, right?
There is.
Next slide, please. Building 17,000 square feet, we are proposing an 8,000 square foot play garden that would be adjacent to the north side of the building. We'll get to some site plans in a few slides. The capacity for this building, as we have it now, would be 208 students, ages 6 weeks to 6 years old. And there'd be approximately 36 staff members. The parking, we're requesting approximately 40 spaces in the surface lot to be leased. The surface lot is to the east of the building. And the property is currently zoned community commercial. Next slide, please. I'm just gonna hit on a few things here. The End Family School philosophy is to use holistic early education, emphasizing experiential, plan-based learning, strong family involvement, and prepare kids for schools through unique methods that they call their N approach. Ms. Anderson can expound a little bit further when the time is right. But their drop-off times are typically 7:30 to 9 a.m. The school would be open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Pickup is typically 4:30 to 6, but as we've spoken about in the past, the pickups and drop-offs are staggered throughout the day. Those are the most frequent times that children are dropped off or picked up, but they do sporadically come in and out based on the parents' needs throughout the day. Again, we're looking at 208 children and 36 staff members. And then in regards to logistics for deliveries, End Family takes a pretty strong approach to this. They only limit small box trucks to bring what's typically fresh food to the facility 2 to 3 times per week. They make sure to schedule those deliveries of the food on kind of outside of their peak hours so that they don't cause any additional congestion or safety concerns or traffic flow. We do have a short video, if you'll indulge me to have that run. And this is one of their locations in London.
Welcome to End Family Club, East Dulwich.
Although the video is short, I think it exemplifies the quality and the effort that they put into their early education facilities and how they treat their children. If we move to the next, well, we got the next slide up here. This is the site plan for the property, but if we could switch to the next slide, it's a little bit more informative as far as what we're looking at from a site plan perspective. And these items are called out in the draft letter of intent that we have with the city right now. So the red box is the building itself. It's lot line to lot line with the exception of a small cutout on the back side of the building, which will be the main entrance to the building. The land lease for Play Garden, that is approximately 8,000 square feet that we would like to lease the land from the city for that Play Garden. And then from the edge of the Play Garden north, there's approximately 450 lineal feet to Morass. And then I think I want to say it's about 175 feet deep off of Mack Avenue. So that property will remain developable, planned for by the city in the future. And then if you look in the parking lot, we boxed off an area where we would like to lease 40 spaces from the city to accommodate the staff parking primarily. We will have 3 barrier-free parking spaces that will be in that notch at the front entrance of the building, and we'll get to some renderings on the next slide. Upper left, this is the front view from Mack Avenue. We would do a whitewash on the entire brick of the building. We'd replace windows. We would obviously replace the roof, add new signage, new lighting fixtures. The area on the lower left is one perspective on the new main entrance. The lower right is a straight on look at the new entrance as proposed. And you can see where that orange small SUV is. That would be where the barrier-free parking would be for the building. And then on the upper right, it gives an idea of what the Play Garden would look like. We're using a decorative aluminum fence to give a look of wrought iron. We would put some landscaping in front of it to brighten that and also provide a little bit of visibility or protection to the children that are on the play area. The shades and things like that you see are requirements. There are licensing requirements from the state that require us to have a certain amount of shaded area, and that's how we'll do it on this playground area. The End Family Play Garden is different than what you would typically find in a U.S. daycare facility. They're much more organic, much more experiential, as I had mentioned before. And Ms. Anderson can answer those questions as well in just a moment. The next slide is our floor plan. This is our first blush here to meet licensing requirements by the state. That's really what dictates the capacity and the number of staff that are required to handle the facility. The next slide is for traffic flow. What we see is that there'll be a nice circular traffic flow around the property, either by Mack Avenue, by Morass, by Kirby, and through the public drive that is behind the building to reach the parking area. I think there was talk of the possibility of making the public drive a one-way, although we believe this will actually function a little bit better because it'll give parents the opportunity to find the most efficient way to get to the building without causing any additional congestion. this public drive has operated as a two-way for, I think, its entire existence. And we believe that the parents will find their way to the parking lot and taking their children in safely with the use of the two-way drive. The next slide you've seen before, it just calls out the market demand, which I think we all know is definitely there for the Grosse Pointes, and this will be significantly better than the building that we were looking at before. I apologize, I didn't correct the seating capacity of 179 was for the Kirchhoff building. This building will have 208 capacity for the children. And then we go through another slide that you've seen before, which is community need. I don't know that we need to go through this again, but there is an exceptional amount of support for a daycare facility in Grosse Pointe Farm. Last is the front elevation again, and I will answer any questions that anyone has for me. Or if you have questions for the most important person in the room, please come directly to my left.
Ms. Anderson, we are very glad you're here. Welcome to Grosse Pointe Farms. Again, for the benefit of the public, Mr. Reside and I had an opportunity to look several weeks ago and met Ms. Anderson and her team from the United Kingdom. We appreciate that as well. But we'd like to know a little bit about you, about your background, about what your involvement is going to be with the school, what the school's involvement. Everyone should know that the school is not an owner of the property, but we'd like to know how you're going to bind, so to speak, the school into a long and fruitful relationship with the city of Grosse Pointe Farms through the lease, who your lease is going to be with, things of that nature. So if you could give us a couple minutes of your time, we'd appreciate it, please.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So I've been in the industry, I think 26 years now. I was with the two largest providers in the US in many different roles, started as a center director. Spent most of my time overseeing territories of the country, and am passionate about making a difference in the lives of children. That's what drew me in all those years ago. And family drew me in because of how they do things. It's just different. They care about their educators by giving them a better pay, better benefits, a bonus structure, educational benefits to help them. One of our benefits that our team love is after 5 years, they can have, they get money to an extra 2 weeks as well to go travel somewhere to just reinvest in themselves. The thought process behind N family is you have to take care of the educator first. Turnover's dramatic here in the US, and families at 15% turnover in the UK. They're also ranked 14th as the best places to work in the UK in the super large category up against Marriott and Hilton and others. And they really take the time to invest. When you invest in your educator and you make sure they're taken care of with a great environment for them to come to every day, then the children are taken care of. And you create a great space and environment for the children to want to be there. And then you make sure the parents are taken care of. We have parent workshops for them, pediatric CPR, events at the school. We have a cafe, I think you saw in the video, where families can just gather and relax at the end of the day or the beginning of the day or work there. We also do something that I had not seen before. Every child that comes to N as they're enrolling, they spend 2 or 3 days, 1 hour to 1.5 hours with their parent, get comfortable with the educator, and then the educator will spend time with the child, with the parent outside of the classroom in the cafe, and then eventually get them through a nap time to make sure the child's taken care of. So the philosophy is we want to take care of our children and make sure they're set up for life. And it's just, I'm so passionate at this stage in my career to be able to bring something like this in, from the UK. I've been over there 7 times in the last year. I spent a month just indoctrinating myself into their nurseries. They have 50 nurseries and growing in the UK. And to see, I went over there with an ego, a United States ego, thinking, well, how could they possibly do it better than us? And I was shocked. The intentionality of the educator with the children was impressive. What they do outside in the garden, it's not just playtime, it's taking the classroom outside as well. We believe that the environment is the third teacher for the child. And nursery after nursery after nursery, the consistency was there. And when I asked team members, like, why are you here? You know, why N? And they're like, it's the culture, it's how we're taken care of, it's how we're valued as human beings. And because of that, we can make an impact on these children. So that's what brought me here. So I'll oversee the US expansion. We're starting here in Michigan. I'm based here in Michigan. So we're starting here in Michigan and Illinois and Minnesota. Those are our first 3 states. We have an aggressive growth plan. And we want to go into communities that, one, have a need. And Grosse Pointe Farms definitely has a need, but also where we can make an impact. I'm excited that we can elevate early childhood education in the US in general by helping others see what can be done and how we can take care of our children and what that can do for their children and their families. And our relationship, they're our developer. So we have a very close relationship with them. I talk to 814 weekly, and they're a great partner. The father of the CEO built Rainbow Schools here, so very well knowledge in early childhood education, and we love partnering with 814.
And what will your commitment be in terms of your written commitment in terms of the building here? What type of arrangement in terms of years are you looking at in terms of this building, please?
I think it's a 20-year lease with options to renew.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to do the same thing, if you don't mind. We'll start with general questions from the public, if there are any. Then we'll turn it over to members of City Council and the administration. So stand by and thank you. Are there anyone in the public wish to comment? And this will be a big departure from last time when we got public comment here, and some of us got public comment at other meetings and on the street as well. And I have to thank some of you for later. No public comment? Is there any public comment? Come on up, please. Mr. Durbin first.
Hey there, I'm curious, especially direct presentation. Curious, you didn't say much about the faculty as far as requirements for educational training, whatnot, how they're gonna, not God's program, how you're gonna ensure this having good quality caregivers and whatnot.
That's a good question. Could you speak on recruitment, please, of your staff? And who do you intend on managing the center for this?
School will be run by a school director, and then we'll also have a school education manager. We'll also have a front of house manager. The front of house manager is somebody who's at the front, actually greeting families on a continual basis. We'll follow licensing requirements for the state, based off of whatever position they are. So if it's a lead teacher, they'll have to have certain qualifications. If it's an educator, an assistant educator, they'll have different qualifications. We'll also work for our assistant educators to try to, for those that want to continue to grow, to go through a CDA credential or get some college credits to continue to improve what they want to do, and we pay for those things for them. And we pay above market as well. So we will go out and attract the best. I'm from here. I have a lot of contacts and a lot of people just wanting to jump on board with N Family from my previous employer based off of what they've seen, what I've shared with them. So I'm excited to be able to bring quality to this market.
Thank you. There was someone else who wanted to comment. Please come on up. Pardon me. Name and address, please. Good evening.
Susan Crowley, 31 Beacon Hill. I just have a question. Have you ever partnered with the school system to embed this concept into the school system?
I haven't with any company because we haven't opened anything yet here in the US. Previous employer, my previous employer, 2 employers ago, yes, we used to have an on-site that we run before and after school programs for the school age children. We are only going from infants through to until they start kindergarten, so we're not going to do before and after school. So we won't be doing that. Yeah, I wouldn't think right now.
Thank you. Any other public comment, please? Seeing none, we'll turn to questions or comments by members of City Council. We'll start to my left, please, Councilmember Jensen.
If you would have asked me a couple months ago if I thought a child care center that fronted Mack Avenue was any safer than the one fronting Kirchville in that alley, I'd have said, you're crazy. But the way this is drawn up, I think it's excellent. I think the plans look great. utilization of the alley, the back door, which is basically your front door, the parking. I just think it's a much, much better and safer plan. Really looks good on Mack Avenue. I have no objections to anything on this plan at all. I think it's outstanding.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Soroka, please.
I was very much an open advocate for this center. Last time around, I would have been happy to approve it. And in some ways, as a parent, it would be even nicer to have it in our own backyard. But I think it's going to be fabulous on Mack Avenue. I think what you put together is wonderful. And to the extent we talked about the amount of public comment last time around, both here at the council chambers and afterwards, I think the lack of public comment here is a reflection of I think the hard work that you guys have done in kind of furthering the conversation. And frankly, the hard work that our city management and our mayor has done in trying to work towards a solution. And it's a good example of how sometimes there can be conflict, and sometimes the push and pull of that conflict can yield better results. And I think that's exactly what happened here. I'm especially heartened. And as I said earlier, I didn't necessarily need to know everything about the provider because I trust our licensing rules here in the state of Michigan. But I think hearing from the provider about what you're doing, especially for children, but also especially for the people that work there. I think the people that care for our children are consistently underpaid and underappreciated and undervalued in so many different places. And we know that, especially when it comes to early childcare education, access to the credentialing and access to the advanced education is particularly important. So I'm excited to hear about that and know that not only is this going to be a great facility for Grosse Pointe Farm residents, but it sounds like you're going to be a really strong employer of people that work in our city. So I am just ecstatic about this, and I know that there are many other moms and dads in this community that are excited to see, and frankly, want to know, like, can they start in August? I don't think it'll be that, like, what, I guess the only question I would have is what is the timeline? This is a preliminary site plan approval. There'll have to be a final site plan approval. Once you get that final site plan approval, what's the timeline that folks should be thinking about?
We're probably looking at, one, the city holds the keys, obviously, to our approvals and our process of getting through those approvals to get to a building permit and then start construction. Our goal would be, once we get that approval and that building permit in hand, we would start immediately. With this renovation, we're probably looking at 7 months probably to renovate the building. It might be a little quicker because it is a renovation as opposed to a ground up. But there is a lot of work to be done in the building, so I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Well, and so I'll just conclude by saying good things happen when people speak up and advocate for the things they need, and when leaders stand up and try to figure out a way to make it work. So thank you all.
Yeah, we appreciate everything that the city has done for us.
Councilmember Donovan, please.
Well, my colleague here took the words out of my mouth, so what I would like to add is this. When we make decisions at this table and they appear to not be favorable to the applicant, and I use the word in quotes, appear, I know how heavy it weighs on my heart when people standing at that podium are disappointed. But I also know that when we all work together, there's always a better plan than what we initially thought. So I just want to share with you how grateful I am that you all stayed the course and that there were enough people in this community that believed in what you were doing. The master plan supports it. And the last thing I would like to say is this. This past weekend, I happened to meet 3 lovely young couples that recently moved in, and they are waiting to start families. And my God, they will be able to walk with their 2 blocks to the new daycare. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Ritchie.
I love the concept. I love the culture. I love your philosophy. I hope it expands into our community. I love the location. So I'm behind it 100%. I can't wait for you to start.
Councilmember
Thank you.
Wilberding, please.
Ms. Anderson, I'm very happy to see you because I think that that was really one of our greatest concerns, that we never really heard anyone from the end school. I just have a couple questions here. You say that you now have your beginnings to expansion for the into the US, that you're going to be studying in Michigan, Ohio, and Chicago. In Michigan, that's here. In Ohio, can you tell me where that is?
Not Ohio, it's from Minnesota.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
That's a big.
Those are the initial three states that we're focused on. So Chicago, it's the metro area and some in the urban. In Minnesota, it's some of the suburbs around like Edina and Egan. Egan, we have something already in the works there.
No relation. but-
Yeah. So, and if you need specifics, there's specifics like here in Michigan, Northville, Novi, we're looking in Birmingham, we're looking in Ann Arbor, Plymouth, we're looking at Royal Oak.
Birmingham.
All right, very good, very good. Thank you. My other question is this. You probably have already been schooled, and through other previous conversations that you've had with my city colleagues, you probably know that this is truly up our alley for the master plan. That's a great need. And it's been echoed by many community members at previous council meetings. Here's another issue that's been echoed quite a bit. Affordability. Can you tell me in just a broad-based structure, because you talked about the philosophy of your educational standards and of your staff and your staffing the standards. Can you tell me how you're addressing affordability?
So what we do is we look at what other providers are paying in the marketplace. This market doesn't really have a lot. So then we look at like what nannies are, I think there's something in the church. We'll take what's around here. We'll look at the demographics of this market and we'll go and search other markets where there maybe aren't same based off of that. So in markets where there are competitors that are the premium providers in that marketplace, we usually come in right with them, even though we're paying above market. We know that longevity of our team is the key. I mean, I've been in this industry a long time. And when you have a stable team, you have really happy children, really happy families. And so our founder's philosophy is don't cut corners, do the right things, and everything will take place. And that's always been my philosophy in all these years is do the right things, provide quality, and the profit will come because you're gonna have full schools. So that's how we're looking at it. So there'll be more research done on that as we go. And I do want to apologize for not being here. I was celebrating my 40th wedding anniversary. My husband would have.
No excuse.
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, go on council meeting, so I apologize for being here last night.
Well, we're happy that you're here now. Thank you. I have no other questions.
Thank you. My comments are brief. They will echo mine of the last time. I agree that there's a need. As a father of four, I'm used to sending kids off at very early ages and driving downtown for daycare. I think this is going to help a lot. And I mean it sincerely. We heard from a lot of people at the meeting, but we heard from even more after the meeting and in other meetings. And some of the comments were very kind and some of them were not. But I said one thing that Councilman Soroka and Council Member Donovan said as well. We are willing to work with you, as we said, in the building the same day, City Manager Reside. We will expedite to the extent possible the application process. So far, so good. Your plans are great. We expect the same great things going forward. We're going to do everything in our power to assist you in developing this very, very important corridor to our great city. This is the entranceway to our city. There's a lot going on in those several blocks. Mr. Reside was with the mayor of the city of Detroit recently. We want to see bigger and better things along the entire Mack Avenue corridor going forward, and that's very, very important to us as well. So we pledge you our complete cooperation. We know that you will take extremely good care of children from our community and other communities who come to avail themselves of your services. And Ms. Anderson, we are very glad you're here. It wasn't just a show. We wanted to see, again, boots on the ground, so to speak, and meet the person with whom we'll have primary contact on a day-to-day basis. And we can assure you from public safety to Department of Public Works, to Recreation, to Building. We're going to help you in every way that we can and see that you're successful going forward and a good long-term partner with the city of Grosse Pointe Farms. Fair enough? Fair enough. If there are no further comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the preliminary site plan for 18850 Mack Avenue for N Family Daycare, please. Is there such a motion?
There is.
Mayor Pro Tem Soroka?
It is my pleasure, thanks to my good colleague, Sierra Donovan, to move to approve the preliminary site plan review for the proposed early childhood development center at 18850 Mack Avenue, based on the materials submitted, including in Mr. Baca's memo dated April 13th, 2026, the McKenna review dated April 2nd, 2026, the site plan application dated March 19th, 2026, the letter of intent dated March 24th, 2026, and the 814 letter dated March 23rd, 2026, as well as their conceptual exterior design and the presentation tonight. This approval is subject to the applicant returning with a complete final submission, including architectural elevations with dimensions, materials, and colors, a reconciled parking plan, clarification of operational traffic and peak drop-off and pickup conditions, evaluation of pedestrian safety, confirmation of rear circulation feasibility, and any required zoning approvals, including parking exceptions or variances. I would also clarify that this approval is preliminary only and does not constitute the final site plan approval or approval of any related zoning, parking, or land arrangements.
City Attorney Burgess, do we have a valid motion?
Yes, but
Thank you, sir. Here we go.
we discussed this a couple of times at prior hearings. The final site plan approval also will require a conditional use permit. I think we covered that a couple of times.
Yeah, the McKenna report was a little bit vague, so.
That's why I'm raising it. Does not need to go into the motion, but city council and administration need to be aware that as part of the final documentation, a conditional use approval will be required by city council in connection with final approval. And I dare say that among the conditions that may be required include what happens if the facility does not continue for the full term of the 20-year lease that's being proposed. What are the reversionary rights, since the city is going to be selling the property to the developer? So just, it's a heads up in terms of what's coming at the next public hearing.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there support for Mayor Pro Tem Soroka's motion? Support by Councilmember Jensen. Mr. Kozicki, please call the roll.
Wood. Councilmember Conrad Wilberding.
Yes.
Councilmember Lucci.
Yes.
Mayor Cooley.
Yes.
Councilmember Donovan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soroka.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Well done. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Crowley and Mr. Durbin, thank you very much for your comments as well. Thank you. Next, I entertain a motion to recess the city council and to convene as the Board of Zoning Appeals, please, for consideration of a dimensional variance for 123 Muir Road. Is there a motion to that effect by Councilmember Conrad Wilberding, support by Councilmember Donovan? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We are now sitting as the Board of Zoning Appeals. Will those with regard to 123 Muir Road, the applicant or their representative, please step forward, please. With our thanks for being here. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Give us an overview, please, and for the members of the public, we have everything. We have reviewed everything. Give an overview to members of the public, what you'd like to do at 123 Muir Road. Let me start, please, if I might, by indicating that we've received 3 public comments. For the record, we're receiving the public comments from Paula Truman and Thomas Truman of 119 Muir Road. They're requesting that the variance be denied for the reasons stated in their communication. We've also received correspondence to be made part of the record of Reuben and Ann Cadrell, Cadriel, neighbors at 121 Muir Road, opposed to the variance. And we received correspondence from Terrence Collins, indicating that he is a friend of the Cadrells, and he also requests that that the variance be denied for various reasons. One other comment by Ken Grant. I'm sorry, those are the only comments with regard to that item. Sir, thank you very much. We appreciate you'd give us an overview, please, of what you'd like to do.
Certainly. So, I'm a licensed builder here, located in Grosse Pointe. Most of my work is in Grosse Pointe, and I live in Grosse Pointe Park. The current structures are non-conforming. Substantially larger, I'm sorry, current lot sizes are substantially larger than when this home was built. And any change in square footage would require a zoning variance. I do not intend to change the footprint of the property at all. What I intend to do is take the second floor off, which has the second floor now, rebuild the second floor, and extend that over that front slope porch roof or slope roof at the front of the building, which would give me a very small additional square footage upstairs and allow me to put 2 bedrooms and another bathroom up there. At the same time, the first floor would be renovated, and it would go from a full bathroom to a half bathroom with a new kitchen and planned living. There's an existing front porch on the building now, which is 4 feet coming forward from the building, which gives me a setback of 9 feet from the sidewalk. So today I went to the street and I took a number of pictures of many homes on the street and took some measurements. Most of those homes have porches on the front, and those porches are within 16 inches to 7 feet from the sidewalk. So the setback on my property, which is not changing, is going to be 9 feet. And like I said, I'm not changing the actual footprint on the ground. The only square footage advantage I'm getting is by bringing that gable forward. My intention was to put a roof over the top of the front porch, which, you know, I believe there's some issues with that. If that's the only issue that's holding me up, then I would just retain the porch without a roof over it. As I said, I'm a builder in the area. I've got a really good reputation in the area. I'm known by the business, by the building inspectors. My homes, when I do them, I renovate own homes and sell them. Usually sell between a day and 2 weeks. I don't cut corners. I don't put building grade products or quality into them. They're all top quality materials and craftsmanship. Like I said, I live in the park. All my work is in Grosse Pointe, is in the influence.
Real quick question before I call for public comment. The height of the roof, so to speak, the gable on your existing house, with the addition, the house that's shown in the immediate left, will the height be equal to one another?
So the current height is 22.8 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, 22 feet 8 inches. The reason I'm taking the second floor off is because it has little knee walls and doesn't give you proper access. So I'm going to put full walls on that, and the pitch of the roof will be slightly less. So my roof height is not going to increase by much. It might increase by 2 feet, and it would be level with the house to the left, and it's probably going to be less than the house to the right.
And the intention is to keep it a single family residence, correct?
Yes, sir, it is. So it'll become a 2-bedroom, half-and-a-half property, open plan living downstairs, and it has an existing garage at the rear, which will be refurbished and kept exactly the same as it is. The home will have new siding, new windows, all new electrical, all new plumbing. It's going to bring it into line with the other homes on the street. Well, every home on that street is non-conforming. All the lots are small. They've all been renovated over the years. I think except this is the last home on the street that has not been renovated. And they're all non-conforming. So a lot of the homes have a gable brought forward onto, so it's flush at the front. It's not a good look. I like the homes to look nice. So the whole idea of bringing the gable forward and then putting a porch over there with a nice heat roof over it is to give us some nice curl appeal and aesthetics and try and match the beautiful homes that are in Grosse Pointe.
Thank you. We're going to turn to public comment first, please. Is there anyone who in the public wishes to comment on this proposed dimensional variance for 123 Muir? Please step forward. Your name and address, if you don't mind, and good evening. We're glad you're here.
Good evening, I'm in Muirhead, 121 Muir Road.
Spell your last name, please.
Muirhead, Mearhood.
Ms. Earhood is the daughter of the Cadrells who sent the letter into the
Oh, very good.
the council. My name is Joel Harris. I'm an attorney. I work locally here in Grosse Pointe, and the Cadrells retained me to come in and talk on their behalf this evening. In their letter they sent to the council, they're in Texas for an elderly family member's birthday, so they wouldn't be here this evening.
Thank you. We will welcome you, Mr. Harris, and Ms. Muirhead. Please, the floor is yours for a couple minutes.
My name is Emma Muirhead, and I'm the daughter of Anna and Ruben Cadrell. We live at 121 Muir. My parents are in Texas for the 90th birthday for Ruben's father, who is now in hospice. My family respectfully asks that you carefully consider the long-term impact of improving a second-story addition on Muir Road, one that may compromise the historical integrity of this uniquely significant street in our community and our home. Muir Road is not just another residential block, it is part of the cultural fabric that defines Grosse Pointe County. The homes along the street, many over a century old, reflect a consistency, a scale, proportion, and design that cannot be recreated once changed. When the structure is significantly expanded its original height, especially in a way that departs from the established character, it does more than change one home, it begins to shift the entire street permanently. There are also important considerations of proximity to our home. Homes on Muir Road were developed in an era with different building expectations. Adding a second story just a few feet from our home can dramatically affect light, privacy, and potential damage to our home. This is not an argument against homeowners improving or investing in properties. Rather, it is a call to ensure that such improvements are keeping with historical context and scale that matches Muir Road's specificity. Thoughtful renovation, preservation, even modest expansion can coexist with both oversight, but significant vertical additions risk tipping that balance. As council members, you are shaping the future identity of this neighborhood, not just a single home. Once the president is set, it will become very difficult to uphold standards that protect the character of the residents of Muir value. My family urges that you consider whether this proposed addition aligns with the spirit of preservation that has long guided Grosse Pointe Farms and soon let the integrity of Muir Road for generations to come. Thank you for your time and consideration.
We appreciate your time, your parents' letter. Do you live at 121 Muir?
I do.
And is that your home to the left?
It is.
It is. Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Harris, what would you like to add, please?
If I could just quickly, I know the council's aware of the legal standards that apply here, so am I. And I just want to quickly make the argument that the applicant has not come anywhere close to meeting any of the requirements that would be legally necessary to approve the variance. The first is there are not unique circumstances to this particular property. It is similarly situated to every single other property on the block. There's nothing unique or different about it compared to its neighbors, so it fails the first prong of that test. This is a hardship, if one even exists, that absolutely is self-created. The condition of this home was known to the buyer at the time it was purchased. The variance that's being requested would have been known to any purchaser, but particularly to a professional developer who knows that you have to deal with this. So it was a self-created problem by the purchaser. Strict compliance with the standards that exist in the neighborhood does not prevent the landowner from renovating and reselling the property. It just prevents him from doing it in the manner that he's requesting that requires a variance. And finally, it does not seem that there's any particular substantial justice or benefit to the neighborhood as a whole. There is certainly a benefit to the developer who can
make a larger profit by expanding the home as it's proposed. But that in and of itself does not provide substantial justice and benefit to the neighborhood as a whole. And I will point out, in case it's not entirely clear from the picture and the materials supported, I hope everybody understands that the space between the house that is pictured and the house to the left is slightly over 2 feet, less than the length of my arm. And with that gap between those two houses, they want to rip off the top and build a new top floor on it. How that can be done without interfering with and burdening not only the property that's directly next door, but the entire neighborhood, I don't know how it can be done. I actually drove down the street before I came here tonight. I encourage all of you to do so and look at what would happen on that street if this type of project were approved. It's not consistent with the neighborhood. It's not consistent with the character of the homes that are there. And we would ask that the variance be denied. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Is there any additional public comment, please, other than those from the applicant? Please step forward, name and address if you would. We're glad you're here.
From one of my where I did submit something. I again wanted to point out that you need to see the distance between the two houses. Some uncles together, they have included in saying how he could put his arm out and touch their house. The other thing is, as far as other housekeeping, right across the street from there are 3 homes where a single person and that's 116, 118, and 3. And my turning is small like that, it's set further back in the lot, and it's across the street. And it is, but it's very similar. It might even be a little smaller than that house. So I just wanted to get the point, and there's several other residents on the block where there's only one person living in the household. So making this bigger, making the top go up higher, it's just not what the neighborhood needs. I said in my comments that my family's lived down the street since the beginning. My great grandfather, my parents, I've lived down the street in 2 different addresses for more than 50 years. My great aunt lived across the street, a great uncle lived in the house. So my family, I know, when you think about it, I could go back and name all the old neighbors from when I grew up on the street. So I have a long history on the street and the renovations that are being proposed.
And I neglected to indicate that we did receive a letter from yourself and your husband, Thomas. So thank you very much. I have a question before we start. The house to the left, although not yours at 121, obviously, to be fair to this applicant, some repairs had to have been made to the house on the left some time ago without compromising the safety of the house on the right. Can the applicant, Mr. Harris, can you speak to that, please, briefly? And the contractor as well. I find a little bit odd that you would make a comment as to the distance between the 2 houses, and I know a lot of it is stressed with regard to proposed damage to your house, and you have a dog who's very sensitive and may have noise seizures, things of that nature. But at some point in the not too distant past, repairs were made to 121 Muir, significant, and the house is very close without physically damaging the structure of 123. No?
121 has been that way for the last 40 years that I.
40 years? Fair enough.
So the distance from the home to the fence line, from 123 to the fence line is 2 feet and 4 inches. And then there's a distance from the fence line to that other home. So, I'm not sure exactly what that measurement is, but it's over 2 feet. So you've got over 4 feet, probably closer to 5 feet between the homes. I've been a licensed contractor in Michigan for 28 years. I did similar work in Australia prior to that. My company is very well known, and We carry, obviously, a lot of insurance. But we do historical restorations. We've done Mariners Church, we've done the Detroit Athletic Club, we've worked on the Ford Estates. I mean, we take care not to damage our property we own and property next door and other areas around where we're actually working. We've got a great reputation. We care for what we do and we care for what we do. Like I said, I live in this community. My daughters go to school in this community. I've renovated probably 15 homes in Grossmont in the Points. I've renovated for myself. I've renovated over hundreds of homes for other residents in this area. Grossmont Farms, Grossmont Shores, the Woods, the park, the city. I've got a stellar reputation. When I look at this property, the inspiration I took to have these plans drawn up, and I drew the plans up roughly, then I had an architect draw them up for me. The inspiration I took was looking at the homes that are existing on this street. I'm not putting up something modern that's out of character. I'm doing something very in character and very in vogue with all the other homes that are on this street that have been renovated. And as I said, this is the last home I believe on the street that's not been renovated. Every other home on this street has been renovated to some degree. I mean, I've got pictures here of the home directly across the road. Directly across the road. It has a covered porch. And his setback to his porch from the sidewalk is 5 feet. And he's brought the gable forward. The home's a lot larger. It's taking a lot more footprint of the property than I'm saying that I want to do. And then other homes left and right. The home to the right has just had a front porch put on it. And that's not 16 inches from the sidewalk. The home 2 doors down to the left has an enormous front covered porch. And that's only 6 feet from the sidewalk. So what I'm asking is not unreasonable. And I'm not doing it just to make better money. I'm doing it for the community, that the home is going to be a nicer home. It's going to be a great home for a starting family or for a professional that's working in the hospital areas there. It's centrally located and it's going to improve the tax base for the city. And also it's going to lift the property values on this street.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment with regard to this request for dimensional variance? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have these pictures if anyone would like to see.
Please pass them around if you would. Give them to Mr. Kozicki. Councilmember Conrad Wilberding, please.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, stay up at the podium. My apologies.
Yes,
I assume we have some questions for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't mind the street. I'm very well acquainted with Muir, and with Mapleton. And I agree with you. There have been a lot of renovations,
Yes, ma'am.
both streets, and Muir was actually kind of like the last to get a lot of the renovations. And I looked also at the report from McKenna, who frankly supports this renovation. I think that if there are some other, and I understand the mentality for the historical preservation, but historical preservation can be just in the eye of the beholder unless there is some type of movement forward to an actual historic society to get this designation of historic property. And I understand also as far as, keeping within the character of the road, the street. When I drove by this and I look at the pictures again, it's not a very appealing dwelling right now, as we see it. And I just think that some type of improvements and renovation would be very much in order. So I'll defer to the rest of my colleagues here as far as some of their different thoughts. They've looked into it, but I'm inclined to approve the variance.
Councilmember Ritchie.
I like old stuff, I gotta tell you that, but this house needs a lot of help.
Yes, sir, it does.
A lot of TLC and everything on Muir has its own characteristic, and I love the street also. I wish we had more parking on that street because everybody has 2 cars now. but, I'm in support of this, but I'd have to throw in, you gotta replace the driveway and the garage. Because the house needs a lot of help. And I think you can take the top off and not damage anything next door. You got plenty of width on the driveway now. You've got the cranes and stuff, but, that's my opinion on the thing, so.
So my intention, sir, was to renovate the garage. I mean, I'm going to leave the garage as it is, but it needs a total new roof, it needs all new siding. And a garage door. So that was my intention. The siding I intend to put on the house, which would be in character with what's there now, but modern, like newer, newer materials. I would side the garage with the same material.
And the driveway.
So I would replace the driveway where it's needed, yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
And on that, the driveway, I anticipate part of the driveway is going to be damaged during my construction anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Councilmember Jensen.
Bonded and insured.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you bonded and insured. And that would cover any, I know there's concerns about structural damage related to the house next door at 121.
We have a minimum of a couple of $1 million, like $5 million insurance, and we're bonded, yes.
And I'd like to say to the owner of 121, I give you a lot of credit for living next door to that thing. I couldn't have done it. I don't know how long it's looked like that. I'm sure it's taking time to get like that, but I walked around that property yesterday. I almost got a tetanus shot when I left. I've never seen anything like that at the points in that condition. And for you to come along and say, I'm going to take that and renovate it, I give you a lot of credit because I know there's been discussions from the neighbors to renovate it as it is. The same roof lines, same, and I think to do that properly, because I looked in the windows, that was fun. And there's no way you could turn a profit, or a homeowner, if you sell, could turn a profit, the money that's required to renovate that home in the existing stance, I think would come, you'd be better to bulldoze it. It would be better to bulldoze it and start over. So I like the conceptual drawings. The ones you passed around, I was going to bring up. The two homes directly across the street have been renovated to 2 stories, and one has a covered porch and one has an enclosed porch. And they're a lot closer to the street than this will be, even with your porch.
That's great.
I think the drawings are great. I think it still maintains the old style character of the neighborhood. It's a great street. Every house is different. You remember, these homes were built to house the staffs from the mansions on Lakeshore. The neighborhood club used to be on this street in Kirschville and Muir. It's one of the oldest, but I walked it twice, last week and then today. It's a beautiful street. It's a great street. And I don't see how this would do anything but appreciate the values of the homes around it. So I give you credit. The garage, on the other hand, I just renovated my garage from the one I tore down. It was a lot better. Look at that. It's cool because it's got that little attached side, but I don't know if you can park a Yugo in that garage. So, I mean, that's gonna be something you're gonna have to worry about. But I think for the character of the neighborhood, the appreciation values of the neighbors, the way the other homes are, you mentioned it, there's a home, 1 or 2 doors down on the left, that you can walk by on the sidewalk and reach out and grab a beer off the guy's porch. It's that close. There's a couple that are back. I do think the one house that was mentioned that's across the street and down towards the boulevard, it's smaller even, but it's way back off. It's a cool little house. It's back off the street. So I give you credit for taking this project. I'm all for it because I think the only thing you could do besides that is bulldoze it. And then we could have structural damages to the houses around it. If you're bonded and insured, you're willing to do it. And I like the conceptual drawings, the artist drawings. I just think it can do anything but enhance the neighborhood. Sure, construction's a pain when you're living right next door. But if it's done properly, I just think it's going to enhance the value of the
So my initial thoughts were to leave the roof line the way it was. So I got from an architect, and because I didn't see the value in the property by having to do anything like that. We realised that it just wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to make it a livable property, and it wasn't conforming to codes, like to the building codes. So we sat down and went through it and we decided to tear the second floor off and rebuild the second floor to make it conform to codes and also make it a lot better home for the family. By me doing that, I'm cutting into my profits, but it's the right thing to do. I said I'm a member of the community, and I have a really good reputation in this community with my business. So, you know, we decided to go all out and take the top off. And that's how I run the business.
And if you receive the approval, how long are you talking to the project?
4 months.
Mayor Pro Tem Soroka.
One bit of clarification. I was just trying to look really closely on my printouts, and maybe it's the current height of the current building is 22 feet and 8 inches.
That's correct.
And then what I saw on the drawings, if I read them correctly, and maybe I need cheaters now. It's a moment for me where I'm like, maybe I need them. It said 22 feet 9 inches and 9 inches and 58 5/8.
And that's what I said earlier.
So we're talking about 2 inches.
We're not raising the roof line very much. I thought it was less than 2 feet, but we're not raising the roof line very much. The way we're doing it, at the moment, the roof's so pitched and you've got a very short walls at the side. We're putting a proper 8-foot wall there and the roof won't be as pitched as much. So the peak of the roof and the shadowing that is not really changing.
Yeah.
So the peak's not changing and the shadowing to the neighbours is not changing. It's just the pitch of the roof is changing and we're bringing that gable forward.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of going backwards and forwards between my experience and the architect to get it this way so that we weren't causing problems to neighbours in relation to shadows, in relation to it being too high.
And I guess that's for me. I was compelled by reading some of the letters from folks because I get that you worry about how increase in height will impact your property. But at the end of the day, from my read of this, you're talking about a 2-inch increase here to make the house a little bit more compatible to modern day living standards. That seems like a win-win for this community. I think everyone knows in this community that living next to a construction site is not fun.
And I agree.
And I think we all get that. And we all know I spent the last year living next to a construction site. And I'll tell you, my neighbors did a great job with their house. It's better now. And I have some phenomenal, great new neighbors. So all I'd say is I think this is reasonable. It's within character of the neighborhood. And I think it's going to ultimately improve the quality of yours. So good luck to this project.
Thank you. The roof line will be lower than the home to the right. And I think it's going to be compatible with the home to the left.
Councilmember Donovan.
Mr. Mayor, please forgive me. I believe I erred. Because what's stated here at the table seems to be in conflict with the report that I have. The package.
How so?
I have a dimensional variance request for 123 Muir. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. The applicant is asking for a variance. And that has to be a legal finding.
Yes, as Attorney Harris spoke, practical difficulty, things of that nature, exactly.
And I would like to refer to page 4, if you all have that same page, the conclusion of the McKenna report, which my colleague, Councilwoman Beth Conrad, stated that McKenna is in support. However, the last paragraph, we recommend the BZA consider any public comment received as well as the applicant's justification of practical difficulty to find whether practical difficulty has been demonstrated. And thus these variances are warranted. I reviewed the applicant's application, specifically variance justification under item B. Hardship, quality of life. If the variance is not granted under section D. And this is what I concluded, that the variance request, the practical difficulty, has not been demonstrated. And therefore, I cannot support the application.
Thank you. Sir, can you speak to the issue of practical difficulty? Mr. Harris made some reference to it. I would indicate that portion of the engineer's report is silent. They do not find any problems with the variance being harmony with the neighborhood, increased population density, no issues. No issues with regard to parking, as one of the people suggested. But tell us what's your practical difficulty, please.
Current structure is not conforming. I mean, I did not create the hardship of the lot size being smaller than today's standards. That hardship was created decades ago, and the city modified the zoning ordinance, making this home existing non-conforming use. The way that it's stated is that any renovations on this property, because it is non-conforming, has to be approved. I'm not changing the size of the property, the footprint size of the property, or I'm not encroaching any more on the setbacks that are existing, which are non-conforming. So I'm basically renovating the property, bringing it up to code and standards. I mean, that's what I'm doing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, please, City Attorney Burgess, but as much as I'm in favor of this project, I don't believe that the statements made by the applicant satisfy the threshold of showing a practical difficulty. Am I correct, sir, or incorrect?
You're correct, not yet. Could be more, but not so far.
Give us more, sir, as to why you believe you have a practical difficulty. Some examples, Mr. Burgess might
Let me
be.
just clarify. Change in the zoning ordinance after a structure is constructed and existing, that's not legally sufficient to make it practical difficulty. It's got to be a greater showing.
Such as what showings would be necessary?
Well, if the structure as it currently exists does not permit a family of a reasonable size under modern living conditions to utilize the footprint, that would be an example.
So the current way that the bedrooms configured upstairs with the knee walls at the side does not conform with the current Michigan building codes. So you could not use the upstairs as a bedroom. So that's the reason that I'm modifying the walls on the side of the house to give me 8-foot walls. So then I then conform with the Michigan building code.
Is that statement satisfied if council finds the requirement of a practical difficulty, City Attorney Burgess?
It would if the council makes, or the Board of Zoning Appeals makes that finding.
Sorry, yes.
Also, John, need to give the 5 votes.
Yeah.
Yes, sitting members of the board here.
No, that's true. Our city attorney raised a great issue. This issue will require an affirmative voting of 5 of us sitting on the Board of Zoning Appeals. That is what's required under the terms when Board of Zoning Appeals acts. And when we were asked to approve dimensional variances such as this, it is not a simple majority. It is a super majority. Even with the absence of Councilmember Wood, there must be 5 affirmative votes. Councilmember Donovan?
One more question. So if this is approved, is that going to include a covered front porch in the variance?
Yes, that's Mr. Baca.
The issue that was raised in the report is that the existing lot coverage was not applied. Your plan state that the current lot coverage would be 34.9, which does comply. I think the point that was brought up in the report is because the garage wasn't specifically dimensioned. He couldn't verify what you stated on your application. So I don't know if that's something that could be a conditional approval.
Conditional approval not to exceed, what'd you say, 35%? Are you willing to abide by such a condition, sir?
Would that mean I would have to tear the garage down? So the house, it would then I wouldn't have a garage in the home?
I think because you would be increasing your lot coverage by adding a covered porch. Right now, without adding the covered porch, you're not changing the lot coverage. But if you were to add the covered porch and increase it, I mean, I would defer to Mr. Bridges on this, but then that would be increasing a non-conformity.
Right.
I think we'd be doing a disjustice to the community to tear down a garage and a home like this, not having a garage. I really do. I mean, if it came to it, then I would not put a covered porch. I'd keep a porch there and I wouldn't cover it. But once again, I think one thing get by the community, the aesthetics of, it's going to be look like the other homes on the street, which is just blank at the front and they've got no character. Some, not all, some, you know, by doing a hip porch at the front, it makes the home look so much more appealing. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Smaller?
Sorry, one cloud, so that.
Yeah, it's all those next.
I think you need a garage.
But you definitely gonna get, I mean, a young family, yes, they want to get, they want somewhere for their stroll, they want somewhere for their kids' bikes. I mean, there's no room on this home to store things in the house. It's tiny.
So you're willing to renovate the garage and go forward with a porch that's uncovered to maintain the 34% threshold?
If that's what it takes. I'd like to put a covered porch on. I mean, we'll check the numbers, but if that's what it takes, yes.
So we could do a conditional dimensional variance approval based on final approval by our buildings department, public service, and our city attorney, yes? Any further comments from my right?
No.
I know we received some letters. I'm sympathetic. Look, I think this house needs some work. I don't think the plans are that unruly. I sympathize with the neighbors. Construction isn't fun. I've looked into your reputation. It is good. I've talked to several people. Driven by a couple of your renovations. They're very good. But if we approve this, you've got to please take special care of the neighbors and go above and beyond to work with them. Obviously you're not going to destroy their property, things of that nature. I know you keep your stuff clean. That's what two people specifically told me, that your jobs are very, very clean.
People for having like clean job sites, yes.
That's my understanding.
I'm undertaking that I'll take extra care in relation to the makeup.
Right, and get the driveway, subject to driveway improvement, garage renovation, and final approval by Mr. Baca's department, our city attorney, and city administration. Fair enough?
Yes.
If that motion's made, Mr. Jensen?
Mr. Mayor, is it possible to discuss allowing him the variance necessary to put the covered porch on? Because when you look at his drawings, the architectural drawings here, especially the ones from the side, I think that covered, not enclosed, covered front porch adds to the value and to the
Curb appeal.
curb appeal and architectural of the homes around it. It's definitely not as, even with the porch, it's not as close to the one 2 doors down, although that was not covered. But when you look at it, if you look at it, you took that porch off of there, it would just be almost a box.
That's exactly right. That's what I say.
Definitely a box. I think it gives it a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more value, a little bit more to the community.
We-
Just makes it a classier looking building with the front porch on it.
I think the answer to your question is yes, we could make that condition as part of the dimensional variance request. I'm not sure I said that perfectly, but yes, we can do that. Mr. Baca,
Sort of thing that the architects provided documents that say it meets the coverage requirement. But I think the only thing the planning department does, or the planning consultant wants, is that the dimensions were provided for the ground.
oh, fair. Councilmember Donovan,
So I have two things, Mayor. I believe we're opening the door of setting a precedent here. If we are going to bring in other properties as a comparison and say you did it for them, so you need to do it for me. And we don't know the facts. But if we're going to do that today without any factual information, I think it opens the door for any applicant to come in and possibly sue us. So I'm concerned about that. And I'm concerned that, well, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I respectfully disagree that we don't have the facts. I think detailed plans, I know somebody who wrote said we don't, and will increase traffic density on Muir, and they were extremely concerned. I don't see how this plan's gonna increase traffic density. That's why I asked that's gonna remain a single family and the like, but, fair enough. Mr. Jensen, one final thing, please.
One final,
Yes, please.
because I did walk the street a couple times. I think that door's already been opened and used several times on the street by prior owners of homes across the street, 2 or 3 down this way, 1 or 2 down this way. That door was opened a long time ago. This is the only house left on that street, on that block, that could do, that hasn't had the ability to do that. So I think that's kind of unfair. But I don't know about opening another door, because there's no other house that could come before us that could possibly do that. I just think it's the last house that needs to be renovated, and it'll be a great improvement. I like the porch. I think the porch adds more dimension to it. It's just, yeah, I don't know. You gonna put a dumpster in the driveway?
Yes,
30 yard or 15 yard?
probably 15, yeah.
That's what on
You
rubber,
just have to keep us switch them out.
on rubber tires.
Yes.
That's all I have to say here.
Thank you. Is there a council member willing, I'm sorry, a member of the Board of Zoning Appeals willing to make a motion with regard to the dimensional variance request for 123 Muir Road? Is there such a motion?
I'll work through it with everybody if that's all right.
That'll be fine.
All right, so I will make a motion no, it's. I'll make a motion I'll move that this appeals application received on March 16th, 2026 from Mr. Whitaker for the construction of zoning like a
For the plan construction is indicated in his building plan submitted in our council packet.
sorry, yeah, for the plan submitted in our council packet, be approved, subject to what restrictions?
Subject to final approval by the Department of Public Services, city attorney, and city administration generally.
I would,
And to include the garage.
yeah, we can include the garage to ensure that fits within the dimensional variance or the dimensional requirements of the property.
With the finding that a practical difficulty will not interfere.
Yeah, so this variance is in harmony with and serve the intent and purpose of the ordinance. The proposed
Is it rain? Yeah, it's supposed to rain, is it?
You're doing fine. Where's the,
sorry,
the other copy of the report?
Neil, you're never lost for words.
no, I've never lost it. It's on the fly. I'd like to withdraw my.
No, I'll go forward with the motion if appropriate. I move to grant a conditional dimensional variance request for 123 Muir Road. First, with a finding by the Board of Zoning Appeals that the variance is in harmony with and will serve the intent and purposes of the ordinances of the city of Grosse Pointe Farms. Second, that that there will be no increased population density produced on the available governmental facilities, on the character of the city of Grosse Pointe Farms as a whole, and Muir Road. Next, that the proposed building at 123 Muir is in harmony with the predominant type of housing located in that district on that block in terms of size, character, location, and intended use. Next, that the proposed dimensional variance requested for this property is in substantial justice being done, including public benefits to be secured by our ordinances without any hardships or difficulties suffered. If the variance the hardships or difficulties suffered if a variance is not granted, and that there is a practical difficulty as stated by the applicant in terms of the second floor living area not being in compliance with Michigan construction building codes. Finally, that the variance will not substantially interfere with or injure the rights of neighbors or other persons whose property is affected by the proposed dimensional variance. Mr. City Attorney Burgess, have I laid out a proper motion for the proposed? Thank you very much. Is there support for my motion?
Support.
Councilmember Ritchie, any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. And opposed?
No.
The motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. We look forward to working with you. Thank you to all the neighbors who came out, Mr. and Mrs. Truman, Mr. Harris. We wish your parents the best as they're out of town. Ms. Hood. I'll entertain a motion to please, I hate to keep it here for all that, to please adjourn as the Board of Zoning Appeals and to reconvene as City Council. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
By Councilperson Conrad Wilberding, support. Councilmember Jensen, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are reconvened as City Council. Next, please, consideration of site work bid award for the Pier Park Aquatics Project. City Manager Reside.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a continuation of our efforts for the construction of new aquatic facilities at the Pier Park. There's many elements involved with this project. I would say the primary three elements are for the construction of the pool, the construction of the bathhouse, and the third being the site work involved. And council has previously approved the construction of both pool and bathhouse. This bid went out for the site work that is involved on this project. And the site work, again, is substantial. It involves the demolition of the existing pool and pool deck, excavation of that area for the new pool, which involves also shoring up the sides of the pool and dewatering during construction. It also includes the foundation work that will go into the new mechanical building, which also will house the well for the pool filtration system. And it includes the utility site work, water, storm, and sanitary, the site hardscape, so all the new pool decking and walkways, and ultimately the site fencing that will surround the pool facility. Barton Mello put together the bid documents, and that was bid out. Bid recommendation comes from Barton Mello in the memo dated April 6th, and they are recommending that the contract be awarded to the low bid to DSP Construction in the total amount of $3,200,343. We're recommending approval.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Any comment from any member of City Council? Is there a motion to approve the proposed site work bid to DSP Builders as recommended by Barton Mallow and City Administration in their memo dated April 6, 2026, the low bid in the amount of $3,234,000? Is there such a motion?
So moved.
By Councilperson Donovan. Is there support? Support by Councilmember Jensen. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have several items A through F on our consent agenda. Before I ask if anyone would like to take anything off, I would just note that one of the items mentioned is a request to receive the proposed budget and setting May 11, 2026 as the proposed public hearing for our budget. The Budget Committee met this past week. We have an extremely good balanced budget. City Administration has worked very hard to present us with a budget The city of Grosse Pointe Farms is in great financial shape, and I look forward to presenting the budget to our residents and to other members of city administration on May 11. With that, is there anyone who would like to remove any item A through F from the proposed consent agenda? Hearing not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
By Councilperson Conrad Wilberding, support by Councilmember Ritchie. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is approved. We've received the March 2026 Public Safety Report. Gentlemen, thank you. I know a member, our resident, Mary Matta of 80 Lakeshore, passed away this past week. Reserve officers were there. Their family had a rather large reception afterwards, and I can't thank you enough. From the comments I received from the family in public, a couple of whom parked on our street, the reserve officers were fantastic. The department was great in facilitating the help. It really helped on Lakeshore. So thank you. City Manager Reside, what else do you have for us, please, before I turn to council?
I have no other business.
Any member on council have any other business they'd like to bring to the table? Mr. Burgess?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.